So I'm about to start working on this Ficus aurea. Back in December, this plant was about 6 feet tall. I cut it back to about little 6-inch stumps, and as you can see, it's grown back since then. So the roots actually have escaped out of this pot, and this entire pot is completely locked down to the ground. So I'm going to have to do some sawing to get these roots separated to actually get this plant out and hopefully repot it to a different pot. This pot isn't budging, so I think I'm going to actually have to cut away the entire pot just to actually get to the plant so I can dig out the roots. Alright, here we go. So I'm in the process of removing the pot, and as you can see, this stuff is pretty locked in, and there's a pretty substantial root ball in here. Next, I'm going to use a shovel to attempt to dig this plant, or a couple plants in this pot actually, the best out of the ground as I can, so I can do some root pruning and get it repotted. So I'm making a little headway here. As you can see, there's some really massive escaped roots that I'm probably going to need the saw to cut now. So as you can see, there were a lot of escaped roots, and this is why they call this plant the Florida strangler fig. So I got the rest of the plastic pot off, and now I'm left with an entanglement of several plants. I'm going to try to separate out and then pot separately. So I have 3 different ficus plants here. Number 2, and the biggest one here, number 3, and then I think some sort of palm. So I just did some massive root pruning to this ficus. These large taproots really had to go. As much as I love the big taproots on a ficus, I don't think I'd ever be able to fit in a bonsai pot if I didn't cut it back now. So I'm planting this plant in another big plastic training pot. This one, though, does not have any holes at the bottom. It's sealed, so it should keep the roots intact, not let them escape. So I got some soil filled around this plant. Plan to let this grow, hopefully for another few years. And then I'll be trimming it back so it builds some more ramification in the branches. Moving on to Ficus 2. Well, the other tree will probably be more of a banyan style. This might be more of some sort of informal upright type of tree. My decision now, I have to think about how I want to plant this. I could plant this tree fairly higher up in the soil, exposing these upper roots here to start building some aerial roots. I'm just concerned they might dry out too quick, so I might try to plant the whole thing lower and let those roots. Alright, so I got all the ficus repotted, and now it's time to trim them. And so as you can see, I'm trimming this back, giving it a real hard prune, pretty much cutting it back to the first leaf on many of these branches. Hopefully get it more ramification, keep it small and compact, start building a canopy. So I'm going to do some pruning on this one next. Pretty tall, going to really shrink it back down. So this is the result of the prune. As you can see, I really took a lot down. I also carved the trunk a little bit. So hopefully it'll grow back a lot shorter and with more ramification.